My name is Monica Enand, and I'm the CEO of Zapproved. We are the makers of a product called Legal Hold Pro. It's a compliance platform for litigation that's used in litigation. You know, a lot of people, I find that there are a lot of resources out there that kind of help you with your business plan. And they'll tell you how to do a pitch, and here's what your pitch deck should look like, and here's what a cap table looks like, or here's what a Series A term sheet looks like. And you can go and you can consume all of these resources, and there are people who will help you with that. What I found I couldn't find, and what I actually struggled with the most, was the emotional side of the startup. And that's that, you know, you can go from feeling like everything is going to go great, you're on top of the world, within minutes hearing news, to, oh my gosh, I don't know how we're going to make it through the next month. And that up and down roller coaster of, you know, when you don't have a going concern, when you don't have something that's supporting itself, and you've got to make that happen. There are, you know, one piece of news can send you flying and can send you, you know, into despair. And there's a lot of that ups and downs, and it's really tough when you're in the down moments to really pick yourself back up and know that, especially for people who've been in larger, I spent most of my career at Intel, and so I've always been in a larger company, and I've never been faced with that. Wow, we might not be able to make payroll in next month, and I don't know exactly what to do about that. That's a new experience, and I think that it's not just. I think if you've also come from a larger company experience, I was not used to the level of rejection sort of by customers, and you know, eventually customers get there, but sometimes they don't operate to the timeline that you need them to operate to. So you're operating to one timeline and they're operating to their timeline, and they don't see the same sense of urgency that you do, and they don't have the same sense of urgency, and you can't change that. I think that's the real tough thing, is just you have to keep going, and you have to keep going and just get through it, because if you can last long enough to get through it, then, you know, and you're a smart enough person, which you are, you're going to find something successful that adds value to that customer, and you're going to, and that's usually not unique. You can replicate it, and so it's just making sure that you make those incremental steps and just keep plugging away. And sometimes you feel like you're making small steps, but then you stop and you look back and you think, where was I 3 months ago? And a huge amount of progress has happened, and you can't believe it when you see it that way, when you look at it that way. Well, I think every startup entrepreneur can tell you all kinds of stories of many hurdles that have been overcome. It's never easy to start from nothing. And I think the biggest hurdle probably was really finding our niche, to really be sure that the technology we had and we were providing was providing enough value to the customer that they were ready to adopt in a down economy. We started the company and took the Zapproved platform, which is the compliance platform, out to beta in August of 2008. And in September, Lehman Brothers failed, and the economy started to really hit that very rough patch. And companies were very conservative in terms of what they were purchasing. So we had to iterate quite a bit, and more than just iterate, take a little bit of a left turn to find something that was not discretionary, that helped companies reduce risk, avoid out-of-pocket costs and reputational damage, so that they were motivated to adopt a new technology. What has tripped me up? Well, no, I think it's very exciting to be part of a startup and to do. One of the best parts of the job is the exposure to everything that needs to go into making a company. You know, one day is always different from the next. So you can be working on hiring, fundraising, development, product definition, customer support, and then administrative stuff, all, in the same day or at least the same week. And getting used to how to balance that and how to figure that out, and when to tap outside resources for those things, and when to really dive in and make sure I was in command of the details. That's a constant balancing act. And so I think that was, it was definitely a learning experience. And, you have to really be ready to juggle a lot and switch tasks and be comfortable with a lot of ambiguity and a lot of investment in tasks that, you're not an expert in. I've actually been very fortunate in terms of the resources that have been available to me. When we started the company, I was funding it myself, and we were attempting to bootstrap the company, which I think is a great idea and would have loved to succeeded at. But having said that, as we realized we were going to need additional capital and reached out to the community and pulled in outside capital, I have to say that the people that got involved helped me more than I ever imagined they would, with much more than their money. They helped me with introductions to other potential investors. They helped me with introductions to customers, introductions to influencers in the industry. They talked me through, how to implement the strategy I was going for, where the pitfalls might be, and how to avoid them. We have a number of really amazing board members that have had successful IPOs for their companies and taken their companies through acquisitions and IPOs and raised money before, understand how to deliver good returns to investors, grow healthy companies that are good for their employees and the shareholders, and deliver value to the customers. So I've been very fortunate with the list of advisors that we've been able to pull in. It turned out to be a very positive thing to bring in outside money and outside expertise. Well, we're, I guess, very fortunate that we are right now have a solid group of referenceable customers that are from Fortune 500 legal departments, as well as big insurance companies, big technology companies, hospital chains, cities, and other government institutions, as well as prestigious tier 1 law firms. So we've got that solid group of referenceable customers that are willing to give security references, as well as reliability and their experiences. So we're at the point where we're scaling the sales organization and taking it, going from last year was a lot of me and my co-founder, my executive team, just running around, I kind of call it running around and talking to people, talking to anybody who would talk to us, and really slogging it out customer by customer with all of their requirements. And that's, I think, how you acquire your first set of customers, is you have to go through it to figure out what do they need from you to roll it out completely. And then once you get through that first dozen or 25 or so, a couple dozen, you can take that collateral, those references, and all of that experience, and then package it up so that the next 30 customers are that much easier to acquire than the first 30. And that's what we're trying to do this year, is really scale that from the early solid customers to now scaling that more widely. It's funny, I think when I started, I used to think to myself when I woke up in the morning, God, does anybody care what I do today? Does anybody but me care that I get up and I do work on this startup today? And in the beginning, no one cares. No one cares other than you. And very quickly, you find a couple other people who will care a little bit, but just a little bit, and nobody's depending on it. But slowly you start having momentum, and you start having employees, and you start having real customers that are actually that have fought to use your product internally, that are depending on you to deliver. And it just builds on itself. And no longer is it, gosh, I have to really motivate myself to go get that next sale, or to go get, go talk to the next, or solve that next problem, or work on that next release with the team. It's a machine that's moving and running, and I love it. I wake up every day. I think about work all the time. There's really very little of my day that isn't thinking about it, at least. And I love bringing on new people and seeing what they can add to the team, and the new skills that they have, and how each member of my team grows with that additional person. I love bringing on new customers and hearing what their challenges are. I love the possibilities and incrementally improving. When I look at the product now, and then I looked at it, what it was 6 months ago, or what it was 6 months before that, the improvement is just amazing. So delivering all that, feeling like there's value that you're delivering to everybody involved, and feeling like everyone's dependent on that to happen. There isn't any choice but to keep going, even though there are times where you feel like it's quite difficult, and there's still a lot to overcome. When you look back and see how much you have overcome and where you are, it's important to look back and look forward all the time. So that's always very helpful. Who inspires me? I've been fortunate to be involved with a lot of different, associated with a lot of different successful CEOs and exited CEOs. Steve Sharp is the chairman of TriQuint. He was the CEO of TriQuint when they went public, and he's been part of 4 IPOs, and he's on my board. And he's the value creation that he's been a part of, and how much jobs he's brought to the area, and wealth creation for the people who've been involved in his ventures. It's very exciting, and he's a great role model. If you can do half of what he's done in his life, I'm pretty thrilled. There are many other board members, actually. Alan Alley is on my board, and took Pixelworks public, has very similar experiences. I also have a lot of investors who've done software companies and actually grown companies very similar to ours, and know the unique challenges for software companies and for software as a service companies that we face uniquely.